Heya,
And
cześć John.
hello,
Co tam?
hello world. Welcome to another little mini live stream
Yes, yes.
going out live.
Out of the blue,
Uh,
but
yeah, this is how we roll. Nice and
no
random.
no better time than now.
Yeah. So
Yep,
talk
yep,
about
yep.
something interesting again. We've got so much we can talk about, but today we've picked a topic around micro conversions. So website
Yes.
micro conversions. So everybody's probably heard about conversions on a website. So whether it's conversions to like somebody hitting your website and then filling in a form, or buying something, converting and actually buying something, converting from basket to checkout. Thanks for the little. I love you just messing around with
Yeah,
the live
just playing
stream
with it.
kind of
That's
stuff.
fine. It's fine.
So what are micro conversions? Let's start with that.
Yeah, sure. I think everybody knows about conversions, and they usually have a rough idea of what a conversion is to them. There might be company-wide, like lead to sales conversion, which is a highly complex type of conversion because it can be influenced by many things. Or you can have a simple conversion, well, simple-ish, but still primary conversion, such as booking a demo on your website, or if you're selling services, that'd be scheduling a call or making an inquiry about the project altogether. But micro conversion is something more microscopic. It's in the name almost, and it helps to analyze the user journey that led up to that main conversion, and it tries to answer the question, can we improve any of those smaller parts that led up to that conversion so there's more of them. And effectively, micro conversions are great for low traffic websites because they may not be getting primary conversions at all, or just a fraction of them, like literally one or two a month, maybe. And that's just not enough of data to draw any conclusions. Whereas micro conversions, because they're micro, they happen more frequently, and therefore there's more patterns to them to aid us on the quest of building up to that main conversion.
Yeah,
Does
that
that answer the question?
I think that makes sense. So I suppose because there's more of them, you can have more of an impact. The problem is if you've only got 2 or 3 main conversions a month on a website, then I suppose technically your conversion rate could double. You could get 4 or 5, but that could just be random. Whereas if you're dealing with larger numbers but smaller transactions, you can actually track them more accurately, and I guess tell whether what you're doing to the website, the improvements that you're trying to make, are having a positive impact or not.
That makes sense. Yeah, it has this ripple effect on the whole thing, really. It's just interesting how you can change one little thing, and by micro conversion, we'll give you examples in a second what we mean. But let's say a micro conversion is a click on a button on the homepage, and let's say you improve that from 1% of new visitors to 2% of new visitors. You effectively pushed twice as many people to the next step on their journey towards the main conversion, and that can have this cascading effect. And the more you improve those little steps, the better chances that you're gonna get a client from your website.
So is it right to use the terminology of like a sales funnel here, a conversion funnel? So you're getting more people in the top of the funnel. Is that
Yeah,
kind of a good terminology that's
I think
applicable?
so. I think so. It depends on where your website. What's the role of your website in the company, and what kind of part of the sales funnel it serves. I mean, e-commerce is pretty much all the way to actual selling a product, but for service-based website, that's more about like generating that interest, that desire, and the actual sales most likely happens outside of the website, right? So it really depends where does website fit into your business ecosystem.
Cool. So you've mentioned a couple examples. Can you give us like a few more examples? I think you've implied that there are 8 micro
Yeah,
conversions that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I mean,
So
eight are the ones that I can think about. There's probably more.
go for it.
Depends on the
Go.
scenario, but I think that the one that's the most important one is really bounce rate, and that's just something I think most of people know about. Just roughly, what the bounce rate is basically when someone just lands on your website and doesn't take any further action, they just bounce of it and leave. And it only makes sense to take special care of that, because if they don't interact with the website, they can't really explore your offering, they can't meet your team, they can't really make that inquiry about your service. So if bounce rate is high, that's not good. And by high, I mean usually if you're about 50 to 60% bounce rate, you're okay. That's expected. Now it will depend on the quality of the traffic, on the source of the traffic, uh, because you might be helping like 8 different audiences, and that might skew the results a bit. But generally speaking, if you are at 70 and up, something might be wrong. So that's the first one I would look at, micro conversion. And naturally you can have a look at the wider landscape and take a look at bounce rate overall. But it's okay to also zoom in on particular pages which are the most popular on your website, especially if you have low traffic website. There won't be many. So most likely homepage and maybe a service page. Depends on how it ranks in Google, and how you're driving the traffic. Um, Also, time on a page is really good. Page retention time. I think that's what it's called in Google Analytics. It just tells you how engaging the website is, roughly, whether that's copy, that's assets, or relevancy to people's queries. Obviously, the more relevant, the more interesting, the longer sessions. So that will tell you at least if you're on the right track. So if people are bouncing off, the page retention time probably is like 10 seconds maybe. So that you should dig a little deeper into that. And on follow up of that, there is pages per session, right? How many pages people browse per session on average, which is also a good indicator of how engaging the content is. It might help you to analyze your call to actions, because that's what drive people through the journey. So if call to actions are lacking, then people won't browse your website and try to fully understand it. And there's, I guess, a few that we can bundle up. So maybe I'm cheating right now. There won't be 8 if I bundle them up, but overall, I mean, all sorts of maps, scroll map, click map, heat map. I mean, you could look at them as 3 separate micro conversions, but you can bundle them up. And what effectively it is, it tells you again how far into the page people scroll, which might give you an idea how to rearrange sections, or maybe tells you if the page is too long or just too boring. Click maps, they tell you how to prioritize elements on a page. People read in the F pattern or Z shape pattern. So for us, for example, it was great to go through click maps, because we have this list of case study categories on our website, and people would click particular ones all the time. Like out of those 8 that we have, people would constantly click 3 of them. So it only makes sense to bring those 3 up to the front rather than make people browse the whole thing, right? If that's what they're interested, that's what they want, here it is. And without click maps, we wouldn't know. And then we have heat maps, right? It's just overall attention on the page canvas where people sit the most, and that kind of indicates their intention. Why did they come to the page at all? And in combination of all those different maps, you can create pretty nice landscape of what's happening. So there's that. And I think one other one that we can mention is exit rate. Uh, Exit rate is sometimes okay, because, for example, let's say you have 404 page, or you have thank you page as a confirmation for the meeting. It's okay that people leave. I mean, what else is there to do? Exit
Yeah.
rate is acceptable in those cases.
So
But
is that
exit rate,
an exit rate per page, right? You're
yeah,
looking at the page level. Yeah.
yeah, exit rates, exit pages, where people leave, how often do they leave. That's also interesting to have a look, but again, is acceptable in some scenarios. mm, I guess 2 other things quickly. Customer journey, if you analyze that thoroughly, you'll see next page that people visit from each individual segment of that journey. So there might be trend that people land on the homepage and 75% of those people go to about us page immediately because it's very personal service that you offer and people want to know the team behind it. So it might help you maybe to bring that about page to the as the first tab in the navigation, or maybe mention the team right off the get-go on the homepage if that's important. And also something that we do, because we are video heavy company, we really publish a lot of videos, and this is an example. We are on the screens all the time. We track video plays, and YouTube has obviously comprehensive shed of tools to help you gauge how great videos doing, how people, how long are people watching for, where they drop off, was the most repeated segment of a video. But on the basic level, you can really track via Google Analytics video plays. And for example, if people click and watch testimonial videos, do they like your case study videos if you have any? Maybe that homepage video is not doing as good as you have thought about. It's just video plays. People engage with videos really, and if they're good enough, they will drive that conversion. So that's I think the last one that I have
Nice.
top of my head. Yeah.
So that's probably 8. So that's
Yeah.
excellently done.
If you skip the bundling up, then there's 8. Yeah.
So I think so it's really interesting. It's focusing on the small behaviors that rather than just the kind of maybe end result. I mean, the end result might be people filling in a form or buying something, but actually, low volume websites or even kind of more high end services, it takes time. Like the sales process is a lot longer. It's understanding the behavior of the users on your website. And I know this from like historical context, things like bounce rate and all these stats or these micro conversions, I guess you need to understand them within the context of the business and the website, right? So a basic example, or a very overly simplistic example, would be if you've got a one-page website, then chances are your bounce rate could end up being 100%, right? But a lot of users could actually be phoning you up or clicking off to a contact form and actually submitting, but technically it might log as like 100% bounce rate. So I suppose that's why you've got to make sure that your things are configured properly, right? You have to understand what that number in Google Analytics or whatever is telling you, whether it's skewed by something else, and whether you actually want a high bounce rate or a low bounce rate and what it actually means, rather than just looking at blind number, because the single metrics between different websites can mean different things, right? Because website business will be in different contexts. And do all of these micro conversions, these metrics and stuff that you're talking about, are they available through, do you use them through Google Analytics, or are there other tools as well?
Not all of them, especially maps. They're not available through Google Analytics. You have to go for tools like Hotjar, Crazy Egg, VWO. Although there is a tool, I can't remember the name. David's in the chat, so he might know. There's this tool from Microsoft that has everything in it. Like, honestly, you can't think of a type of analytics you would need that it doesn't have. And it's 100% free, no caps. It's literally one pricing tier, says unlimited, free forever. That's it. So that's something we have to look up ourselves. And if you are keen on getting out of Google ecosystem, then that's probably one way to go about it. But if you are deep in Google stuff and you just want those maps, then you probably have to pay. Although Hotjar has this free tier for beginners, I guess, and that is enough for most of low traffic websites, because they track like 50 sessions a day. So it's probably enough to make sense out of that at some point.
Nice. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. I know I've come across like open source analytics as well. Like I've Matomo.org is like open source analytics you can use if you're a bit kind of weird and paranoid like me, then you want to just host your own analytics and not use cookies. You can do something like that, but I guess you need to know what you're doing. But there's loads of different options, and I guess that's
Absolutely.
what you, the experts, and NerdCow can kind of help advise, right? And
Sure.
yeah,
I
what we've
just
been
found out
talking
the
about.
name. I just
Oh,
found the name Microsoft
oh, we got
Clarity.
Microsoft Clarity. Well, I haven't
Yeah,
heard of that, so
Clarity
there's
is the
something
name.
new.
Yep. Yep.
I haven't come across that before, so
Yeah, it's new to us too.
I've heard it here first, and potentially our listeners, any listeners or any watchers that heard it here first. So let's wrap up. We're deliberately keeping these short.
Yeah.
I guess the next one we'll do probably in the new year, and we'll talk about another random topic.
Awesome.
And thank you for watching, whoever's watched this. And a reminder that Thomas's brain is available to hire if you want him to. Him and NerdCow to turbocharge your business, basically the business growth. That's what
Yeah.
it's all about, right? Using
For,
all
for,
these tools to help well, particularly like marketing leaders or marketing teams kind of explode their operations, right?
yeah, and I guess to follow up on that, we do publish tons of content daily. YouTube, TikTok, like Pinterest, like you name it, it's there. So if you're into running a website, especially as a marketing leader, you will find many of our resources helpful. And whether you decide to talk to us or not, you'll still get a lot of value from those publications that we have out there. So take a look.
Awesome. I would highly recommend it as well.
Mm.
So thanks, Thomas.
Thanks.
Speak again.